There really were a lot of questions, concerns, and rumors swirling here in Cynthiana, and that's why the mayor wanted to talk to us. He wanted to explain to people what's going on. He wanted you to hear it straight from him. So this is all stemming from PFAS. That's the formal name of these forever chemicals, as they're known. They're in the air, the water, the soil, all over the globe. Amber, I do have some new information I want to get to you right off the bat here. We just got done speaking with the Laurel County Sheriff's Office, who says the DNA results from that body that was found this afternoon are now being rushed off to Frankfurt for some immediate testing. They say it'll take a few hours. They are expecting to address us later this evening once they have those results. So at this time, KSP is still sticking with the fact that a body has been found here, but they are unclear as to who it might be. We did just get some new information from the Jessamine County coroner. We are told that that 4-month-old baby has been identified as Briley May Gill. An autopsy has been ordered. Right now, the scene has certainly quieted down here. Fire trucks and ambulances have all left, but what does remain is a fire investigator trying to piece together what exactly happened and caused that explosion. And in the last presidential election 4 years ago, the Commonwealth once again overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump as their candidate, 62% voting red and only 36% voting for Joe Biden. And since the 1950s, the Bluegrass state has been reliably Republican. A steady flow of traffic and plow trucks this afternoon as the Division of Streets and Roads gets ready for a very busy weekend. Right behind me, you can see our old salt barn. It is full to the brim, and that one was built back in 1994. There's actually a new one right next door that should be ready sometime next week. They say this one will be able to hold about 4,500 tons of salt, and it is a slick, slippery mess. A lot of people are coming home now from work, and we've seen a few homeowners who are grateful to see us out here to show people exactly what they are dealing with. You might have guessed, garbage pickup once again canceled for tomorrow. They say while they understand that it is inconvenient, really it's just unsafe for those trucks to be out right now, and it really could even be dangerous for people trying to bring their garbage bins down to the curb.
Kelsey Soto is investigating this story for us tonight. She is joining us now live from the school district's offices. Good evening, Kelsey.
Good evening. A lot of professionals will tell you that continuing education, travel, and trips are crucial to their industry. But when those trips are being paid for with your tax dollars, how much is too much? WKYT waded through emails from teachers, parents, and even FCPS staff asking us to look into the district's spending. During the September 9th Fayette County School Board planning meeting.
Questions on approval of professional leave? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
In less than a minute, the board approved nearly $236,000 worth of professional leave. That included money for a professional conference in Dallas, Texas. The 68th Fall Conference for the Council of Great City Schools was October 16th through the 20th. 78 of the nation's largest urban public school systems got together to address progress and problems in big city schools. Here in Kentucky, representatives from Lexington and Louisville made the trip. First, let's look at the state's two largest districts. Fayette County has 42,473 students, while Jefferson County has 95,951 enrolled. As for the number of schools, Fayette County has 73 and Jefferson County has 168. In Fayette County, there are 3,081 teachers. Jefferson County has 6,818 educators. As for the annual budgets, Fayette County is working with $817 million, while Jefferson County has $1.9 billion to work with. WKYT requested documents and spending request forms from FCPS regarding that trip to Dallas. The trip was approved at a total price tag of $103,640, an amount that could have paid 2 starting teachers' salaries for the year. The roster included 2 school board members whose seats were up for re-election the following month. Sitting board member Amanda Ferguson voiced that concern in an email to the superintendent, saying it would be unwise to spend the money. Dr. Demetrius Liggins' response? He thanked her for sharing her thoughts. One of those board members, Marilyn Clark, did end up losing her seat 3 weeks after returning from the trip. For reference, Jefferson County sent 16 people for a cost of $23,097, while Fayette County sent 36 people with approved expenses totaling $103,640, which means on average each FCPS attendee was approved to spend $2,878 on the conference, while JCPS staffers spent an average of $1,443 per person. When we studied the forms from Fayette County, we noticed many requested $300 for meals. But when looking at the conference itinerary, it says all meals were included. We asked the district about this. District leaders told us their policy gives a per diem for meals, and because of that, they don't require any meal receipts. So overall, JCPS sent fewer people to that same conference at a fraction of the cost. We do want to point out that we asked the district back on November 15th to sit down with the superintendent or board chair to ask about this trip and other questions we had, but they declined. Dr. Liggins did tell us that Fayette County students outperformed Jefferson County and actually outperformed the entire state of Kentucky. In a statement, their spokesperson did say participation in professional learning, whether by staff or board members, ensures that the district remains at the forefront of educational excellence. The knowledge and strategies gained through these opportunities directly inform decisions and instructional practices. These efforts, carefully aligned with our mission and vision, are a testament to the district's responsible fiscal management and dedication to providing exceptional education for every child we serve. You can read up on this story right now inside the WKYT News app. Live. We want to paint you a picture because we've spent a lot this week talking about spending, but it's important to know where that funding comes from. By now, you're probably aware that Fayette County Schools' total budget is $817 million. 55% of that, or $370 million of it, comes from local taxpayers. 37%, or $248 million of that, comes from the state, and less than 1% comes from the feds. And with most of that money, though, coming from local Fayette County taxpayers and local sources, residents want to know, what are they getting for those dollars? In academics, it's all about the numbers. According to Fayette County Schools' website, using data from 2022 and 2023, they spend $22,529 on each student's education. That's higher than the national average of $15,563. UK economics teacher and researcher Dr. John Guerin reports that FCPS funding per student rose 110% since 1990, when adjusted for inflation. While many celebrate an increase in per-pupil spending, it's an area of concern for Jim Waters with the Bluegrass Institute, who says there should be big bang for those big bucks.
I think if they're going to continue asking for more money from taxpayers, I think taxpayers deserve to know where the dollars are going that they've already invested in this huge system.
There are 3,081 full-time teachers at FCPS. They also employ 2,906 support and administrative staff.
We see right there a little hint about where these dollars are going. It's going to non-teaching personnel. It's going to the bureaucracy. It's going to teachers' aides and to other folks at the central office.
For Jason Bailey,
Kentuckians are very independent-minded.
At the Kentucky Center for Economic Policy, he sees progress when it comes to the district's recruiting and retention.
If you look at Fayette County, for example, the average teacher pay has not lost ground compared to what it has in many of our rural parts of the state because they've been able to generate those resources. But those counties that don't have that property wealth just haven't been able to.
Kentucky voters soundly turned down a proposed change to the state's constitution last month, saying no to spending public dollars on private schools.
Fayette County was overwhelmingly against Amendment 2. I think because people like their public schools generally in Fayette County, and they think they're pretty good. They could be better with targeted investment and improvement, but that was certainly a place in the state where the voters were very clear.
Waters says the change would have provided an alternative choice.
The tax increases in Fayette County during the pandemic, they did not cease to want to raise taxes and bring in more funding. And yet they didn't even want to give parents a say in what programs are added and what programs are removed. It's a tone deafness that they've had. It's got to change.
Bailey believes the purse strings are cinched in Frankfort. Kentucky budgets more than a third of state funds for K-12 education.
Ultimately, in our Constitution, public education is a state responsibility. The local school board plays a role for sure, but it's ultimately up to the legislature to decide. That's what the court has said. In many schools, the public schools are the only option, and it's also the place you go Friday night for the football game, or you go to the band concert. People know the teachers, the custodians, the cafeteria workers in their school, and they didn't want to see resources diverted from them.
Meanwhile, spotted in Lexington, a billboard boasting the district's success. Yet state data shows in 2023, nearly half or more of FCPS students failed to attain proficiency on state testing in grades 4 and 8 reading and math.
we're failing our kids. We're failing our next generation of students. So we have to do better. So what are you going to do with the resources you have? You have plenty of resources. The problem here is not the funding, it's the system. That's the problem.
Now, as for that Budget and Planning Committee meeting that was scheduled for 3 o'clock this afternoon at the Fayette County Board of Education behind me, we were notified at 1 o'clock via email that that had been canceled and rescheduled until January 7th of the new year. We know by then that we'll have 2 new board members taking their seats and it will kick off the legislative session.